Բարի կեսօր։ Այսօրվա տոնակատարությունը փակ կհայտարարենք Կանադայի, Հայաստանի և Հոմի քայլերքներով։ Good afternoon. Let's begin our event by listening to the national anthems of Canada, Armenia, and the Armenian Relief Society, performed by Roubina Keshishian.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Mer hayrenik azadangach vor abrele taretar yor vortiga art ganchume azadangach Hayastan yor vortiga art ganchume azadangach Hayastan. Amen einzig Mahamie Mart mian kambit merni Paitierani vor yuraskin azadutiam kuzofin Paitierani vor yuraskin azadutiam kuzofin. Մենք ուխտյաներ հայօգնության սուրբ կորձին, լույսի փանակ և քթության խաչուհի, քո յամարդին մեջ սրբազան ներթադին, ձեզ կբերենք հայ կնոջ սիրտը ոսկի, օդար երկրի հովերունցեմ մոլեքին, հայթը բրության չահը բահենք մաշտավար, և թող շունչտա հայոջախի գրագին, մեր շրտներուն վարածաղող ամեն պար, մենք ուխտյաներ հոմի բայցար թրոշին, միշտ կմնանք արի բահակն անցյալի, մինչև ձագի արդարության վարարբին, մինչև հասնենք սեքսարերուն հայրենի.
Good afternoon to our distinguished speakers, ARS Canada board members, ARS Roubina chapter board members, ARS members, and dear guests. I would like to welcome you to the Armenian Relief Society Toronto Roubina chapter's 12th annual and first virtual International Women's Day celebration. My name is Huri Shitilian, and I will be the host of today's event. During our event, I will address you in both English and Armenian. Our speakers will then be followed by a Q&A session. Please note that the English language portion of today's event will be held in English. For those in attendance at last year's International Women's Day event, it was likely the last time that you were gathered in public, socializing with friends and family. There is no doubt that 2020 was a challenging year for everyone, even more so for women, forcing us to create and adapt to new ways of working, learning, and living our lives amid stressors that we have never experienced before. However, it has also taught us to be resilient and adaptable. We hope that today's program will give you a chance to relax, recharge, and provide some inspiration. Փարիգ այսօր մեր այսօրվան յուրահատուկ բանախոսներուն Հոմի Կանադայի գետրոնական վարչության անդամներուն, Հոմի Ռուբինա մասնաճյուղի վարչության անդամներուն, հոմուհիներուն եւ ցեզի մեր սիրելի հյուրեր։ Փարի եկած եք Հոմի Ռուբինա մասնաճյուղի գազմագերբած 13-րդ եւ առաջին արձանց կանանց միջազգային օրվա տոնակատարության։ Իմ անունս Հուրիշի Թիլյան է եւ ես պիտի ղեկավարեմ այսօրվա տոնակատարությունը։ Օրվա հայտակիրը պիտի ներկայացնեմ հայերենով եւ անգլերենով։ Անցյալ դարվա Հոմի գազմագերբած կանանց միջազգային տոնին ներկաները թերևս կհիշեն, թե այդ ցերնարգը 2020-ի վերջին ցերնարկն էր, ուր բոլորս միասին հավաքվեցանք։ Անկասկած 2020-ը դժվար տարի մներ բոլորին եւ մասնավորապես կանանց համար, որոնք ստիպվեցան հadoop դասավորումներ կատարել առցանց ապրելակերպին ընդելանելու համար։ Թեև այս բոլորը աննախադեպ պայմանները մեզ շատերուն ենթարկեցին հոգեբանական ճնշումներու, սակայն մեզ սորվեցուցին լալթիմացուն ու համագերբող անհատներ։ Հույսով ենք, որ մեր այսօրվա պատրաստած հայտակիրը օգտաշատ լա եւ հույս ներշնչե շարունակելու ձեր առօրյա աշխատանքները դոկորված թրական լիցքավորումներով։ I'd like to take a moment to let you know that beyond the exciting program we have for you today, 5 of you will have the chance to win one of our fantastic lottery prizes at the end of our event, so please stay tuned. Սիրելիներ, գուզեմ ձեր ուշադրության հանձնել, թե ցերնարկի ընթացքին տեղի պիտի ունենա վիճականություն։ Շահողներուն անունները պիտի հայտարարենք մեր հայտակրի ավարտին։ Առաջ որ մեր հայտակրին առաջին բաժնին անցնենք, կուզեմ հագիրճ կերպով անդրադառնալ Հոմի առաքելության մասին։ Հայ օգնության միությունը հիմնված է 1910 թվականին Նյու Յորք քաղաքի մեջ Հայ Գարմիր խաչ անվան տակ։ Որպես ոչ կառավարական գազམ་ակերպություն, Հոմը անդամ է Միացյալ Ազգերու գազམ་ակերպության։ Այսօր իր մասնաճյուղերով 27 երկրներու մեջ եւ ավելի քան 15000 անդամներով անգ ներկայանա որպես անկախ մարդասիրական միություն, որ համաշխարհային տարողությամբ կծառայե հայ ժողովրդի ընկերային ու մշակութային զարգացման եւ հայ թե օդար գարոդյալներու առողջապահական ու մարդկային այլազան գարիքներուն։ Թորոնտոյի Ռուբինա մասնաճյուղը իր 400 անդամուհիներուն նվիրաբերումով 57 տարիներ շարունակ աշխատած է իրականացնելու Հոմի նպատակները եւ ժամանակի հանգամանքով մեր քաղաքի մեջ առաջ եկած բարեգործական գարիքները։ Մեր նպատակը եղած է միշտ ծառայել հայ ժողովրդին իր բարեսիրական, առողջապահական, գրթական եւ դաստիարակչական մարզերուն մեջ։ Today's event is hosted by the Armenian Relief Society's Toronto Roubina chapter. ARS is an independent, non-governmental organization recognized by the United Nations. ARS works to preserve the cultural identity of the Armenian nation and brings humanitarian help wherever the need arises to all communities in distress. The Armenian Relief Society is active in 220 chapters located in 27 regions. It has over 15,000 dedicated members around the world serving the needs of the Armenian people. With its 400 members, the ARS Toronto Roubina chapter has been devoted to humanitarian and charity work for almost 60 years. Its mission has been to promote education and social services, to empower women and support the needs of the growing Armenian community in Toronto. ARS is a strong advocate of human rights, social justice, and civil society around the world. It truly carries out its motto, with the people, for the people. So I've told you a little bit about ARS and the amazing work that it carries out. Now let's discuss the reason for our event today. International Women's Day has been celebrated for over a century for purposeful action for equality. To this day, International Women's Day is celebrated worldwide on March 8th. It continues to be a powerful platform globally that drives action for gender parity while celebrating the social, cultural, economic, and political achievements of women. The theme for International Women's Day 2021 is #ChooseToChallenge. A challenged world is an alert world, and from challenge comes change. So let's all choose to challenge. Collectively, each one of us can help forge a gender equal world. Let's celebrate women's achievements, raise awareness against bias, and take action for equality. For those of you who are active on social media, we encourage you to post pictures from today's virtual event on your social media feeds using the hashtags #ARSIWD2021 and #ChooseToChallenge. Եկեք մեր այսօրվա հայդակիրը սկսենք համեղ խմիչք մպատրաստելով։ Այժմ մեզի կմիանա Հակոբ Ջակ Սումբուլյանը։ Հակոբը մեզ պիտի սորվեցնե հատուկ խմիչք քոկթեյլը պատրաստելու ձևը։ Կքաջալերենք ձեզի հետևիկ Հակոբին քայլերուն, որթու կալսերդան մեջ վայելեք խմիչքը մեր հայդակին ընթացքին, օգտվելով Հակոբի դարիներու փորձառութենեն։ Now, without further ado, let's get started with our first segment, a DIY cocktail making lesson with bartender Hagop Jack Sungulyan. Jack is of Syrian-Armenian descent and arrived in Canada about 5 years ago. He currently works downtown bartending at Kelly's Landing. Jack will be teaching us how to make an elderflower cucumber fizz cocktail and a cucumber guava spritz mocktail. We encourage you to make the cocktail or mocktail along with us so you can sip and savor it during the remainder of the event. Over to you, Jack.
Parev Polorin. Hello, everyone. My name is Jack Sumbulyan, and today I'm going to be the one who is going to show you how to make a cocktail, even a cocktail from your own comfort home. But first off, I would like to really introduce myself to you guys. I'm Syrian Armenian, used to play basketball from national team of Syria with being all the Armenian, or only the Armenian. I came to Canada almost 5 years ago. I started working in the hospitality industry since then. I achieved great results with participating with the competitions. Became the first place in my first competition and became the second place in my second competition. And then recently I've been working in the restaurant, in the busiest restaurant in North America. It's called Kelly's Landing in downtown Toronto. Okay, so before I get started, I really would like to wish to all the women out there a very happy International Women's Day to you guys. I really want to thank you guys from bottom of my heart for being such a special and a strong. Okay, let's get to the fun part. I'm just gonna have a quick introduction over here. What we got. I just want to make sure that everyone have the same ingredients and then the tools to get ready to make those delicious cocktails. So we got our Prosecco, Zonin. We also have our the elderflower liqueur, Saint Germain. We got the elderflower tonic water. We got our glasswares. We got our cucumber cut ready already. We have the guava juice. We got our ice. And then we also have our tools to make the cocktails. So you guys gonna be like, Jack, what are these tools for? So these tools are, guys, essential items for being available behind the bar. For example, so this is a modeler. So the modeler we use for if you are really if you are using any like a citrus or any herbs in the cocktail, and you really like to take all the oils from the surface area. So we highly recommend to use the modeler to model gently and take all the flavors out. We also got here a jigger, for example. So this is called jigger. So this is for measure the ingredients in the cocktail to make sure it's a perfect balance and not, it's over sweet or sour or too strong in the booze. So it's the same thing if we have the measure cup in the kitchen. So we make sure that all the food tastes tastes well and then balanced perfectly. So the same thing in the bar. So we make sure we have one of these. And then we also got our spoon. So this is a spoon to make sure just like give it a quick stir in the cocktail if there is an ingredients that you want to mix them up. So we just use the spoon to stir it. We also have our shaker. So this is two-part shaker. There is also this kind of shaker that you guys probably have one of these. It doesn't really matter. So this is kind of a strainer in it. You don't need an extra strainer to strain your cocktail. This is with the lid, 3 parts, easy. But I'm gonna use today this shaker. So the shaker is for basically, guys, to chill the cocktail and make sure all the ingredients mix together. So the reason I shake the cocktail, if I'm using any citrus, any dairy, or any like heavy juice that we are using today, to make sure that all the ingredients are perfectly balanced, and then mix them up. So, okay, let's get to the fun part. Today, we're gonna make one cocktail, elderflower cucumber fizz, and a mocktail, cucumber guava spritz. So these are, guys, very, very easy to make, very super easy. Doesn't cost you a paycheck. It's super cheap and very refreshing, especially the spring is around the corner and summer is on front. So we definitely gonna try to use, make these cocktails for if you're having and inviting people over, rather than have like basic, mimosa, orange juice, and prosecco. You can definitely mix these ingredients and then just like having different experience. Okay, so the first we're gonna start making the cocktail, which the elderflower cucumber fizz. For the cocktail, we're gonna need. I'm using a tumbler glass. You can also use like a stemless glass or any stemmed glass. It's really optional. It's not a big deal. So we're gonna start off grabbing our shakers. So we're gonna shake this cocktail basically, and then we're gonna start with modeling the cucumbers. And then here's the thing. So if you guys not carrying any shaker at your home, I can recommend to you to model the cucumbers right in the glass and build the cocktail right in the glass. But I really give you guys a heads up, if you have any stamped glass that the base part is very weak, I wouldn't recommend to model it in it. It might break. But if you have like something, the base is something like, strong and it's stemless or tumbler glass, you can definitely model the cucumber right in the glass and then build the cocktail in the glass if you don't have any shaker at your home. But I really highly recommend to have one of these. It's a super basic, super easy to get. You don't have to get any quality ones. That's something that just like chill the cocktail and mix the ingredients all together. Okay, I'm gonna start off adding few cucumber, 3 to 4 cucumber wheels in my shaker. At the same thing, if you guys are having like making the drink in the glass, you can definitely add it in the glass. And then the reason I'm using a cucumber, actually, it's a very basic ingredient, but it has that the freshness of the cucumber will give the cocktail. It's a main thing. It's a main flavor for the cocktail. It's gonna give a great, delicious, very rich flavors in the cocktail. That's really essential for this drink. Okay, so I'm gonna model the cucumbers with some liquid in it. So I'm gonna use my sage germain elderflower liqueur. So the sage germain elderflower liqueur, it contains up to 1,000 flowers. That's crazy. It has like taste of floral, lightly herbal. I'm just gonna show you guys here. It's a great liqueur. So it contains up to 1,000 flowers. It's just it's lightly herbal. It's sweet without being sugary, if that makes sense. It's originally from France. It contains 20% alcohol percentage. It's not very strong. So I just really enjoy it even by itself on the rocks or mix it with tonic. But today we're gonna mix it with our cocktail. So we're gonna add 75 ounces, less than an ounce of sage germain on top of the cucumber. I just gonna use the jigger to make sure it's measured well. So if you guys don't carry any jigger at home, you can definitely have any shot glass that it's an ounce or 30 milli or any measurement cup that it's in less than an ounce. You can definitely measure with that. But I really would recommend to have one of this. It's a super easy to make. So I'm gonna add a 30-quarter ounce of sage germain, just like so. Okay, And then the same thing, if you guys making the cocktail in the glass, you can add the Saint Germain in the glass on top of the cucumbers. And then now we're gonna model those cucumbers and make sure that all the flavors and then from the surface area comes out and it gives the cocktail freshness. I'm gonna model gently, just like so. You guys can model right in the glass, but just make sure model it very gently. It might break the glass on the sides, which I've done it before. Yeah, after we model those cucumbers, we're gonna, by the way, just forgot to mention, the Saint Germain, you can definitely reach out, get it from any close by LCBO. I personally bought the small one. It's a 200 milli. There is a 750 milliliters as well, but that's very too big for me. If you're gonna make few cocktails, you're gonna have invite few people over. You can definitely buy the small one. It's not that expensive, and then you can definitely add in a small amount of it. You can make definitely so many cocktails. So I'm gonna add now a guava juice. So the reason I'm using the guava juice is just because it's a kind of because it's fruitiness, it's combination of strawberry and pear. It's a kind of uplifts the Prosecco flavor. The Prosecco, I'm just gonna go after for Prosecco, but really matches the pear flavors, and it's gonna give the cocktail the fruitiness and kind of sweetness. The guava juice, I bought it from the Metro, any grocery store, you can definitely buy it. The brand doesn't really matter. I bought this brand to show you guys, but this is I've been using for a long time, so it is perfect for the cocktails. So we're gonna add 2 ounces of the guava juice. Okay. Right in the shaker. And then the same thing, if you're making the cocktail in the glass, you can add in the glass. Just like so. I'm gonna close my guava juice. And then now we're gonna add our ice. Get ready to shake the cocktail. So, and then the same thing, you can add the ice if you are making the drink right in the glass. You can add the ice in the glass, but we are not going to shake. Obviously, if you don't have a shaker, you can just add the ice in the glass and then wait for the Prosecco part. So now we're going to shake this cocktail. Before I shake it, I'm just going to take a moment that you guys catching me up. I'm just going to go over again. So we just grabbed our shaker or the glass. We added some cucumbers, and we modeled those cucumbers with the Saint Germain of 75 ounces, less than an ounce. And we modeled those cucumbers, and then we added our guava juice, 2 ounces, and then added ice in the shaker. And then we are going to shake it. Okay. Just we shake it for almost like 15 seconds. And then if you see your shaker is kind of like cold, you feel like your drink is chilled already. And then we make sure the ingredients are mixed perfectly. So I'm just gonna open my shaker, my first part. If you are using the other shaker, you can just definitely like take the lid off and it's ready. You don't have to take the other part off. So I can smell it. I can definitely smell the cucumber, the floral flavor from the Saint Germain and then the guava juice. It's amazing smell. So we're gonna add ice right in our glass. There, just like so. If you guys are making right in the glass, you already have an ice. I'm just gonna strain my cocktail on top of the ice, just like so. Just like so, and then now start off the show. So the Prosecco. So this is Zonin, Italian dry wine, ladies. So this is basically, it's a fruity, dry. It kind of has a pear flavor, which is matched perfectly with the floral flavors and also the guava juice. So it doesn't have to be this brand. It kind of works any Prosecco that's just really dry. And then I just bought a small bottle of Prosecco. I didn't want to waste if I buy a big one, I don't want to waste the whole bottle. If you're having few drinks, you can definitely buy like, few of small ones, and you can just like finish it, and you don't have to waste the rest. And then you can also drink it if you want to drink this Prosecco, the Zonin, the brand. It goes well, matches perfectly with brie cheese, oysters, lobster. It's a great Prosecco. And now I'm gonna add my Prosecco. And also, guys, this is 11% alcohol in there, and you can definitely get from any LCBO nearby. I buy from shops at Dalmas, so you can reach from anywhere. So this is basically 3 ounces, but I usually don't measure it. I just go all the way up. I like my Prosecco. I like the bubble. It depends on the glassware size. It should be 3 ounces, maybe less, maybe more. But I just try to top it off all the way up. Okay, I'm just gonna give a little stir to make sure the rest of the flavors just mix them up perfectly. You know, just like so. It smells amazing, by the way. Okay, and then now we're gonna garnish this drink with few cucumbers. There we go. Enjoy. So this is basically elderflower cucumber fizz, guys. It's easy to make, very refreshing. It's early time kind of drink. Again, for the patio, if you guys are inviting over, it is really delicious. And then now I'm gonna go with the mocktail. Okay, the mocktail is for the ones if they're not feeling having an alcohol, for non-alcoholic drinkers. And then this mocktail is basically, it's a different glassware. It's called cucumber guava spritz. So this is in a highball glass. So this mocktail is kind of, it's not like basic, you can have orange juice and 7-Up or orange juice and ginger ale. It's just like something that it's again, this basic flavor, basic ingredients, but really elderflower tonic water that I'm gonna use for this mocktail, it gives really good flavor in the mocktail. You're gonna feel like you don't need an alcohol in your drink. Okay, for this cocktail, we are not gonna need, sorry, for this drink, we're not gonna need any shakers. I'm gonna add the cucumber and muddle it right in the glass. It's kind of like a stronger glassware that I'm gonna muddle in it, but I'm gonna still make sure that it's very gently. I don't want to break the glass as well. So for this mocktail, we are going to need cucumber as well. I'm using cucumber everywhere, right? Well, I mean, it really gives the cocktail refreshness. It's really like the main ingredients for me. Okay, so we're gonna model always the herbs or cucumbers. We're gonna add it with we're gonna model it with the guava juice or something liquid. Okay, so I'm gonna add 2 ounces of guava juice, just like so. Okay, so I'm gonna try to model the cucumbers very gently, guys. I'm just gonna make sure that all the flavors from the surface area of the cucumber just comes out and it gives the mocktail and the cocktail refreshness, just like so. Okay, now I can see the cucumbers are all good modeled. I'm gonna add the ice all the way up, guys, just like so. Okay, now it's the start of the show. So this is gonna be the elderflower tonic water. This is my favorite kind of a mocktail ingredient for use for. It's in kind of it has the floral flavor that I just said earlier. It don't need any like alcohol in your drink to taste the drink well. So you can also, if you want to mix with any alcohol, you can definitely have with Saint Germain. If you're gonna have you can add an ounce of Saint Germain. You can add the elderflower tonic water. It matches perfectly. You can also add if you basically rather than have a regular gin and tonic, you can have flavored gin and then these elderflower tonic water. It just really gives you guys a totally different experience. Like for example, I have this gin over here. I have an Hendrix, but it's a kind of floral gin. So it's kind of like it's gin and tonic basically, but it's totally different flavors. So I'm just gonna put this one on the side, and I'm gonna open my tonic water. And then this is a Fever Tree brand. I bought it from Metro, guys. You can definitely buy from any grocery store, any Walmart works. So I personally rather to top it off. It basically should be 4 ounces, 3 to 4 ounces, but depends on the size of the glass. And I like to, since we didn't shake this cocktail, I really like to, give a little stir to make sure, you know, all those cucumber pieces are just like flying around, which I rather, if you can strain it, but I rather to have my cucumbers right in there. Just I have a small piece when I'm drinking it. And then just like so, and then we're gonna garnish this mocktail with cucumber again. There you have it. So guys, we have our cocktail. We also have our mocktail. Pretty much basic, the same ingredients, except the alcohol wise, but they are super easy to make. Again, doesn't cost you any paycheck, and then very nice drinks if you're having a few friends over. If you're gonna make those drinks, you don't have to make any mimosas and basic champagne prosecco by itself. You can quick mix, just buy small bottles of this, and you can definitely make it at your own home. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm Jack Sumbulyan again, and I really want to wish you guys happy International Women's Day to all. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Great. Thanks so much, Jack. That looks so delicious, so refreshing. I love the combination of the guava juice, the bubbles, the cucumbers. To those of you that followed along, we'd also love to see your photos with you toasting with your drink. Remember to use the hashtags #ARSIWD2021 and #ChooseToChallenge. Hagop Jack, thank you so much for being here with us today and teaching us how to make an easy and delicious cocktail and mocktail. To everyone watching from home, cheers. A toast to all the women in attendance and to all the women who have taken on the lion's share of the workload during this pandemic. Our caregivers, first responders, mothers, teachers, doctors, nurses, PSWs, and many more. We salute you. Շնորհակալ ենք Հակոբ, որ այսօր միացար մեզի, իրապես համով եւ թեթև խմիչք մնեմ։ Անոնք, որոնք պատրաստեցին խմիչքը, շատ ուրախ կլանք, եթե ցեր գենացի նկարները բաժնեկցիկ մեզ հետ, օգտագործելով հետևյալ հաշտագները #ARSIWD2021 եւ #ChooseToChallenge։ Բոլոր անոնք, որ կհետևին մեզի իրենց տուներեն, ցեր գենացը բոլոր ներգականանց եւ բոլոր գիներուն, որոնք գրգնաբադիկ ծանրաբեռնվեցան այս համաճարակին պատճառով, ըլան անոնք մեր մայրերը, ուսուցիչները, բժիշկները, բուժքույրերը եւ թեր շատ-շատեր։ Ցեր բոլորին գենացը անսպար ուժ եւ գորով ցեզի, ցեր վարձքը 1000 կատար։ Հիմա ժամանակն է, որ ցեզի ներկայացնեմ մեր այսօրվա բանախոսները։ The moment we've been waiting for is finally here. It's now time to hear from our keynote speakers, Diane Kazarian and Annie Potoyan-Joly, founding visionaries of the Prosperity Project. The Prosperity Project is a new not-for-profit organization founded to mitigate the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on Canadian women who are being disproportionately affected. It was conceived by a diverse group of more than 60 female leaders from across Canada, and was founded and is being led by Women's Executive Network and Canadian Board Diversity Council founder, Pamela Postian-Jeffrey, who was also the honoree and keynote speaker at our 2017 International Women's Day event. Before I turn the microphone over to Diane and Ani, it is my honor to introduce you to our distinguished speakers. Diane Kazarian is the managing partner for the Greater Toronto Area and is a member of the extended leadership team at PwC Canada. Diane is the firm's first female GTA managing partner, leading PwC's largest Canadian market, managing more than 3,500 professionals and 300 partners across all key industries. Diane also continues her role as PwC's global financial services brand and people leader. With more than 30 years of experience in the professional services industry, Diane has been recognized as a fellow of the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario. This is the highest distinction conferred by Order of CPA Ontario for individuals with exceptional achievements in their careers and the community. Diane is a recipient of Canada's Most Powerful Women Top 100 Award, presented by the Women's Executive Network. She is one of the founding partners of #MoveTheDial, an organization committed to advancing women in technology, and is also a member of the steering committee at the Financial Institution Forum. Diane sits on the board of Bryant University, Kingsway College School, Ontario Brain Institute, and St. Joseph's Health Foundation. Diane is a sought-after speaker and is an active participant and advocate of women's career advancement, as well as diversity and inclusion. She speaks at a variety of key market conferences and events and is frequently approached by the media to provide insights on topics such as innovation, upskilling, emerging technologies, women in leadership, diversity and inclusion, fintech, blockchain, and more. In April 2020, she became one of the founding visionaries of the Prosperity Project. Many of you may also recognize Diane as a former honoree and the keynote speaker at our International Women's Day event in 2016. Next, let's learn about Annie's accomplishments. Annie Hotoyan-Joly is a successful finance executive with over 33 years of business experience in financial services industries, including insurance and reinsurance. Annie is a member of the Board of Directors of Ontario Power Generation, where she is the chair of the Audit and Risk Committee and a member of the Compensation, Leadership, and Governance Committee. She is also a member of the Board of Directors of Women's College Hospital, where she's the chair of the Governance and Nominations Committee. Annie is also a member of the Board of Directors of Friends of Canadian Broadcasting and is the chair of the Audit Committee. In June 2020, she became a member of the Community Services Sector Audit Committee for the province of Ontario. Annie is also very active in our Toronto Armenian community. She is the former chair of the board of the ARS Armenian Private School and has been a dedicated member of the ARS Toronto Roubina chapter since 2011, serving as a member of the executive committee for several years. She is currently a member of the executive board of the Armenian Relief Society of Canada. In April 2020, she became one of the founding visionaries of the Prosperity Project. Annie is a graduate of University of Toronto's Bachelor of Commerce program. She is a fellow chartered professional accountant and has the ICD.D designation from Institute of Corporate Directors and the ESG Competent Board Certificate and Global Competent Boards designation. Let's begin. If you have any questions for Diane and Annie during our discussion, please click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and type in your question. We will try to get through as many as we can at the end of the discussion. So Diane, before I ask you about the Prosperity Project, could you please tell us about your journey to get to where you are now?
Absolutely, and thank you for the kind introduction. And hello, ladies and gentlemen, happy International Women's Day to you all. And I must say that one of my career highlights definitely was when I was honored by you and I was able to come and speak in 2016. That was a lot of fun that day, so thank you very much. Anyway, and I did say this that day on stage when we were all together. My career started in Providence, Rhode Island, so I'm both American and Canadian. My mother is from Beirut, was from Beirut, Lebanon. My dad was American born, but his parents came from Kharpet CM. And we were, all lived together growing up in Rhode Island. And for me, it was very much about really understanding who you are, where you come from, that really roots you in terms of, your career aspirations, your goals in life, both professionally and personally. So I've always done a lot of deep thinking about who I am and where I came from. And I will say that I was very rooted by my childhood. And I had lots of goals. And my goal very much was to go to a great school. I went to Bryant University. I studied very, very hard, and I'm an accountant. I'm a US CPA, and as Huri said, a FCPA here as well in Canada. But I knew I had to get good grades to get into a very good firm, and I started with KPMG, and then I moved in 1990 to Toronto and joined PW. And the reason why I sort of talk about that is because those beginning days of my journey and, just growing up and everything and being very focused on goals professionally for me was very important. I wanted financial independence. That to me was extremely, extremely important as a woman. And my mother and father were very supportive of me in that respect, even though my father was a little bit old-fashioned as it came to women and the roles of women, frankly, but not when it came to me. And so I had this wonderful career at PwC, started as an auditor, but every 3 to 5 years, I changed my goals and I always changed my role in the firm. And I always put my hand up for new and interesting opportunities. And many of those opportunities, up until even today, were things that were out of my comfort zone. So I was always taking some risk, learning from my mistakes, celebrating lots of great things that were happening, but learned very much that teaming and collaboration and these things were so important. And I learned that to be successful, it wasn't just about me, it was about a lot of other people on my team, and still is. And so through this sort of career and always putting my hand up and really going for what I wanted in a very assertive way, in a positively assertive way, has definitely bode me well. And, you know, my career is not over. I'm managing partner at PwC, the first female managing partner, which I'm very, very proud of, managing our biggest region in Canada. And when I someday retire, I hope to take all my experiences and do what Ani does and be on some awesome boards. And she's a wonderful role model for me. So that's just a little bit about my career. I'm sure we're going to get into some other things later, but just to give you a bit of a flavor for things.
Great. So Ani, how about you? Could you please tell us about your journey?
Yeah, I'll try. My journey is similar to Diane, yet a bit different. So as some of you know, I was born in Aleppo, Syria, and I moved to Toronto when I was 13 years old. My parents always inspired me to become independent, and I wanted a career where I can learn and grow and be an independent woman. That means also financially independent woman. So this is one of the reasons when I was 16-year-old, I chose to become a chartered accountant. So I worked for Deloitte and for just about 4 years, where I got my designation, and then I moved to industry. I spent about 13 years working for Zurich Canada, and then I moved and worked for Swiss Re Reinsurance Company in Toronto. And that was the property and casualty side of the business for about 3 years. And then in 2005, after many months of thinking about it, whether I should or not, I moved and started working for Coventry Inc. And that opportunity came to me through two of my really good friends who used to work at Zurich Canada, and now they were working at Coventry. And I stayed at Coventry until June 2018. So as you can see, I don't like to change jobs for too many times. So being a lifelong volunteer, and as you know, my dad and my mom are both volunteers, I continued my volunteering throughout my career with a bit of a break of about 15 years to be more focused on my career and raising my two sons. During those 15 years, I realized that I had to focus on my big goals, my big rocks, and work very hard on achieving them. Those were my careers, my kids, and my physical and mental well-being. I learned around that time that I could have it all, but not all at the same time. So remember that, ladies. You could have it all, but maybe not all at the same time. So I came back to volunteering around 2008, 2009 in a big way. I became a member of the Board of Trustees of ARS Armenian Private School for about 6 years. And at the same time, I joined the Board of International Women's Forum Toronto chapter, and then IWF Canada National Board, and volunteers for about eight years on 2 of those boards. So my focus has always been to learn and serve, and this was a way to give back to those organizations that were working on the causes that I really cared about, both at the time was education and women's leadership. So now, as Diane said, I serve full-time on a number of boards as an independent corporate director, and but I continue to invest in myself and take courses to improve my knowledge to become a more valuable board member.
Okay, so now let's get into the topic of today's event, the Prosperity Project. Ani, could you please provide us with an overview of the Prosperity Project?
Yes, definitely. So the Prosperity Project is a national not-for-profit organization which was launched just less than a year ago on May 21st of 2020. So this organization is the brainchild of Pamela Jeffrey. And as you know, Pamela Jeffrey, who brought together 61 founding visionaries who are diverse group of women dedicated and determined to support the prosperity for all Canadian women. So these women are from across Canada, and there are no skill sets that are unrepresented in this group. As we all know and have seen over the last 12 months, COVID-19 has exposed vulnerabilities and disparities in our society like never before, and women have felt the impact of this pandemic in many, many ways. The Prosperity Project was created to make sure that COVID-19 does not eliminate the progress that was made during the last 40 years towards gender equality, equity, diversity, and inclusion. You might be asking yourself, what are some of the initiatives that the Prosperity Project's founding visionaries have been working on since its launch? Well, lots actually. So we've been working on 3 groundbreaking research projects and 2 very unique initiatives. So I'll describe these research projects briefly and the initiatives in a few moments, but I want to let you know that you can find more details on the Prosperity Project's website, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages. And the links will be shared with you in the chat box, and also we'll share it at the end of the session. So let's get started. So one of the research project is Annual General Diversity Data Tracking Project. That's a long name. This research project released its first annual report called the Zero Report on February 23rd. I will talk a little bit about this report a bit later, but basically the report measured the gender equality at 3 leadership levels inside Canada's largest employers. Those levels are the board of director levels, the executive board level, and in the pipeline to the executive officer roles. So this is a very unique survey that applied intersectionality and inclusivity lenses. The survey wanted to get answers to where BIPOC women and women with disabilities are in the corporate ladder. When I say BIPOC, I mean Black, Indigenous, and people of color. So the second project is the Canadian Households Perspective on the New Economy, which is looking at how COVID-19 and the existing and the widespread attitudes are impacting women's skills development, women's careers, and women's economic security. In September 2020, with our research partner Polera, we conducted a survey of Canadians to track public opinion on these important topics, and we shared our findings on our social media. The second poll was conducted just recently in February, and the results will be shared during the week of March 15th. Diane is the co-chair of this initiative and will provide you more details in a few minutes. The third research project is a 10-year longitudinal multi-generational study of 10,000 Canadian women from across Canada from all socioeconomic groups. So the purpose of this study is to understand what the barriers are to women's prosperity. So once we understand these barriers, we will work with governments and corporations to remove these barriers and strongly advocate for changes to improve the lives of Canadian women and help them become prosperous, however they define that to be for themselves. So the Prosperity Project has also 2 action-driven initiatives. So the first one is the Matching Initiative, which will match volunteers to nonprofit organizations that offer services to or support women or girls and who may be interested in working with a volunteer to bolster their in-house skills. So the volunteer period will be between 40 to 160 hours over 6 months. The volunteers could have skills in the areas of human resources, finance, IT, digital, or strategy. And the Matching Initiative is currently running a pilot project and will officially launch at the end of March of 2021. The second initiative is the Rosie the Riveter Inspired Campaign Initiative, which will focus on 5 barriers to women's prosperity. So these barriers are: 1, lack of awareness of training or job opportunities; 2, limited access to role models or mentors; 3, lack of partner support at home; 4, lack of access to affordable childcare, and 5, lack of leadership commitment to gender parity. So to address some of these barriers, Prosperity Project is currently working on a formal mentorship program, and we will be launching this program in spring. And we have also organized a number of educational webinars and will continue to do so over the next few months. Huri, back to you.
Wow, that's certainly a large group of initiatives that the project has tackled.
We've been busy.
Yeah. Diane and Ani, could you please let us know why you decided to join the Prosperity Project as a founding visionary, and what particular initiatives are you involved in? Diane, do you want to go first?
Sure. Thank you. And well, I mean, I joined because Pamela asked me to join. So for those of you that would have heard her speak at your event, I think you said 2017, you know, she's just a brilliant woman. And she has this ability to sort of look forward into the future and make some predictions about things. And, you know, this was, I think in April, she probably called people like myself and Ani and these other founding visionaries. And she had a hypothesis that women were going to be more impacted by COVID than men, and it was going to really take us backwards. So I found that very intriguing. You know, we were all in lockdown. I was beginning to feel, you know, uncomfortable about COVID myself. Personally, I think we've all been through journeys and continue to be. So that was why I joined. So in terms of what I'm co-chairing, the Canadian Households Perspective on the New Economy, CHP, and Ani referenced this briefly. But basically what this particular initiative is to look to women and men's sentiments about spending patterns, their economic situation, how they're feeling at home, raising their kids, a whole host of things that I'll get into in a moment, really to sort of measure these sentiments with a particular, obviously, focus on women, because women make up 70 to 80% of the decisions in a household as it relates to spending patterns. And this is very important to consider as it relates to the prosperity of women. And so we thought that it would be very good to examine this. And we are working with Polera, their wonderful polling company. They have a tremendously strong reputation out there. And they volunteered their time and their assets. We did 2 surveys. One was in September, of which has been all reported on, and I'm going to give you a few highlights of that. And certainly the results of the survey indeed did prove out what our hypothesis was and is. And then a more recent one that's just been completed, and I'm going to give you the kind of high level embargoed version of that, because we're not going public with it until March 15th. And we didn't want to do it this week because it's just too crowded of a space out there with International Women's Day. So here are some of the concerns, and I have them in front of me. So I'm just going to read out a few of the statistics that came through, and these may or may not resonate with some of our audience. So here's what we learned. Women are more concerned about being able to pay their bills and repaying their debts, 57%, than men at about 48%. So that's pretty significant. Women who are working and have children have higher levels of concern when it comes to paying these bills. So now you're looking at not just women and men, but you're looking at women who are also taking care of their children. And we're going to get into that in a moment. And then women are more worried about losing their homes due to inability to pay their debts, 67% versus 49% of men. Now, younger women between the ages of 18 and 34 are more likely to say that after having children, they've started focusing more on their family than on their careers, compared 70% compared to 55% of men. Women in the home are more likely to take on the majority of their child care, of the cooking, of the assistance with children, and remote schoolwork, which has been a huge issue, and housework as well, than men. Now, one could say that these may have existed before COVID, but the point here is that they've been accentuated quite strongly as a result of COVID. And I can, personally attest to this as well, as I think many of us can. Women who've been working and have kids are more likely to have considered to quitting their jobs and have turned down extra work or overtime compared to men. And then the really interesting thing is elder care, something that many of us have been dealing with or have dealt with, and they're more likely to be managed by women than men, 42% compared to 32%. So these were some of the statistics that came out in September, and we did a big social media blitz around this. And again, it was around awareness. And so when you take all of the various work streams that we have, there was an op-ed in the newspapers around this as well that Pamela did. It's really important that the politicians listen to this. And I know that there's been a lot of conversations with the government about like helping women with childcare who are going through COVID, for example. That's something that we're really focused on. Now, what we're going to be coming out with next week is a press release. I can't really read the press release to you, but it's going to be something around being anxious, stressed, and depressed. So we did another polling in January. Again, we're all in this second wave. And as you can imagine, that when you look at those facts and circumstances compared to also with winter months and having people be locked down again, women are feeling frozen. Working moms are feeling frozen. And the impact of this has worsened women. So I ask you to stay tuned on this because I think it's going to be very interesting what we're going to push out next week. And there'll be a whole kind of flurry of messaging that's going to be coming out. And again, what's concerning about this is that we have gone backwards as a result. Now, some men have gone backwards too, but proportionally speaking, women have gone more backwards than men. We're very concerned about mental health. We're very concerned about working moms, particularly single working moms being home with women. And we're very concerned about women in disadvantaged communities. So these are all very important. And the last thing I'll say is guilt. The really interesting thing that came out, and I think we as women often feel very guilty about things, is that disproportionately feel very guilty about working and not being able to do the homeschooling at the same time and so on. So, these are things that maybe many of us have felt in some way, shape, or form. I believe that notwithstanding where you're at in your career, or even if you're not working and you're home and you're taking care of elderly, you're taking care of your children and so on, these had a significant impact. So that's a little bit about my work stream of Canadian CHP.
Great, thanks Diane for filling us in on the work of the CHP. I think all of us definitely, have had these feelings, and I think it's a great job that you guys are doing. Anya, how about you? Why did you decide to join, and what particular initiatives are you involved in?
Thanks, Uri. So I think people want to be involved with projects or work for an organization whose values align with their own personal values. So as Diane said, when Pamela asked me to join the Prosperity Project, I think I spent about like 30 seconds before I said yes. And I said yes not because I admire Pamela, because she's a successful, not just because she's a successful Armenian woman, but because she's someone who has worked hard, tirelessly to advance women's leadership in Canada. I wanted to be involved with the Prosperity Project because the values of the organization are in line with my own. As you know, my motto in life is to learn and to serve, basically to learn and to serve. And by being involved with the Prosperity Project, I have learned tons. I have learned a lot about the challenges that women who are not in my own circle are facing, especially during the last 12 months. And I am able to serve in a small way by volunteering my time to help achieve the goals of the Prosperity Project. Plus, it gave me an opportunity to meet incredible women from across Canada who care about the same issues as I do. So let me tell you now about the two initiatives and the two research projects that the Prosperity Project is working on. Diane already talked about the CHP research project, and I'll go over the rest quickly. So the first one is the Prosperity Study. I'm the co-chair of the Prosperity Study, which is the 10-year long-term longitudinal survey, which I mentioned to you earlier. So my co-chair and I spent many months in the spring and summer of 2020 speaking with researchers from across Canada to understand what they are working on in this space and how we can conduct the survey in Canada. And we learned that this is a very complicated process, and naively I thought we could do this within a few months, but no, we can't do it in a few months. So we learned that unfortunately, we had to put this project on hold until maybe the end of this year or early next year, pending receipt of funding. We don't have funding right now to do this project, but hopefully we will soon. So before I describe the next initiatives, I want to let you know that the vision of the Prosperity Project is the following. One is to increase the number of women who are working in Canada. And right now, a lot of women are not working in Canada because of COVID for various reasons that Diane mentioned. Number two, we want to increase the number of female graduates from science, technology, engineering, and mathematics academic fields, and increase the number of women who actually work in the STEM fields. And these STEM fields are mostly, there are more men and women in the areas, but we want to increase the women who are working in those areas. Number three is increase the number of women who choose to work on skilled trades, because there is a huge shortage of women in skilled trades. When I say skilled trades, I am referring to a number of jobs, including like electricians, technicians, plumbers, carpenters, and construction office managers. Women can have very successful careers in these areas, but we don't think of those as women's careers. So we want to increase participation of women. And number four is we want to increase the number of women in leadership and decision-making roles, including women in the boardrooms, in the executive leadership roles, and the pipeline to getting executive leadership roles. So the Rosie the Riveter Inspired Campaign, which is the second initiative that I want to talk to you about, will focus on three areas. One is a mentorship program, two is webinar series, and three is to having a portal on the website when women can have access to a large number of resources. So for the mentorship program, we want to launch a formal mentorship program, and we want to do that towards April and May 2021. We want to match mentors within the STEM fields. These are successful women who are work in these areas, and women who work in the skilled trades. We want to match these mentors to mentees who could benefit from receiving support and mentorship from these experienced women leaders. So if you want to be a mentor or want to be a mentee, you can send an email to info@canadianprosperityproject.ca. So for the webinar series, we already held a number of fantastic webinars in the STEM series in November, January, and February, and we are currently working on launching a skilled trade series to increase awareness of the importance of women in the skilled trades. We will be hosting a few webinars in English and French, and we will have experienced and successful skilled trades women who have great careers in their respective fields join us for the webinar and share their experiences and provide advice and tips to our webinar participants. So if you're interested, and you can watch all of the past webinars, and I attended most of them, and they were fantastic, and you can find them on the Prosperity Project's website at canadianprosperityproject.ca. The matching initiative is the third initiative, which I briefly mentioned to you earlier. This initiative will match volunteers to nonprofit organizations that serve women. So we want to serve women who also identify as Indigenous, women of color, refugees, persons with disabilities, and LGBTQ2+. So the objective of the matching initiative is to have 400 volunteer engagements with nonprofit organizations in our first year and 600 in our second year. So if you're interested in being a volunteer or are involved in a nonprofit that could benefit from this matching initiative, you can visit the website and click on the initiatives and choose the matching initiative and fill in the form. Finally, the last research project is the annual Gender Diversity Data Tracking Project, which released its first annual report on February 23rd. The report is called the 2021 Annual Report Card on Gender Diversity and Leadership, the Zero Report. So the Prosperity Project surveyed 48 of Canada's largest organizations in late 2020. Each organization collected and shared race-based data for 3 timelines. This was never done before. This has never been done before, first time ever. The 3 timelines were March 2019, March 2020, and September 2020. It found that 89%, it found many things, but it found amongst its findings, it found that 89% of surveyed organizations have 0 Black women in the pipelines to leadership levels, and 91% have 0 Indigenous women. This is why the report is called the Zero Report. However, we have some good news. The results indicated that progress is being made on an overall basis, and you can find the Zero Report again on the Canadian Prosperity Project.ca website. Uri, back to you.
Thanks, Ani. So, I mean, it's obvious you're both very successful Armenian women. You each raised 2 children and had fulfilling careers at the same time. How have you balanced the demands of your careers and motherhood? And what advice would you give to Armenian women and men who are working hard on their careers and on being good parents? Diane, do you want to go first?
Sure, and I would say that I'm still raising my children. I'm blessed to have a wonderful husband, Ross Sinclair, and I'm blessed to have 2 beautiful children, Audrey Storino. Audrey is 28 years old. She is a Queen's grad, and she studied concurrent education there in drama. She's got lots of potential in terms of her career aspirations. She's an amazing, beautiful woman that she's grown into. And my son, Jack Sinclair, is 15. He attends Appleby College, and he's in grade 10, and he is an amazing, amazing child as well. And, you know, I'm very blessed for this. And, you know, I will say that I didn't take a break to stay home during my career. So I've been working since I was 21. I graduated in 1983, Bryant University, and I've been working full-time, 150%, as you can imagine, in a firm like mine, in terms of the roles that I've had and all the not-for-profit work I do. It's, you know, been a very fast train for me. But this is my choice. And this is what I wanted to do. And my family and my husband, who's also a partner at PwC, he just retired last summer, you know, very much understood me and understood, you know, my desires in terms of my career. And we really 50-50 split up our duties. I also had the benefit of having a wonderful nanny that did not live with us. So, you know, did all my cooking. We all do our cooking together and things like that. But my point is that my support network was strong to allow me to do this. You know, long hours, 14 to 16-hour days sometimes, and then sometimes having the flexibility to take lots of Fridays off, etc. So balance for me was a very personal thing. And I would say balance for everyone needs to be personal. There's no special equation that says, in my view, that, you know, you need to do this to have balance. Because for me, in my career and in my life, in my home life, there are some days that I feel quite balanced. And for me, balance means a little bit of everything. I need to have a little bit of everything, and I need to be constantly intellectually stimulated and challenged. I'm not great at relaxing, but I do like to relax at times too. And then some days I feel out of balance because it's just too much. And at those times I sit back and I kind of give myself a break. And it's a lot about awareness. And if you can be very self-aware of your body and your mind, then you can kind of stop and pause and take a breath and say, what do I need now for balance? For me, also, exercising is important. I've always had a pretty good exercise regime throughout my entire life. Eating well, healthy, so on, having lots of social time too. I'm very, very social. So that is all very important. And that's me as a woman. You know, I would say that growing up as an Armenian child, I was the only one that was Armenian always in my regular school. But I speak fluent Armenian. I was very active in my church. Many of my girlfriends, some of whom might be watching from Providence, Rhode Island, my best friends are Armenian. And I crave that and I miss that, because when I came to Toronto and I focused on my career and my family, the one thing that I could not get my balance of is being involved in my church. Now, my son was baptized Christian in the Armenian church. That's wonderful. I do, excuse me, regret that I didn't teach them Armenian, but it's really hard. My parents were in Rhode Island. If they were here, they could have learned. You know, my husband's not Armenian. So I do regret that. So I would say that in terms of some lack of balance, that's been something that's been lacking for me. And I know my daughter is very interested. My son is interested. So there is absolutely hope. But our culture is so rich and our traditions are so rich. And I think we're such a special people. And I'm so proud to talk about my Armenianism and who I am. And in fact, in this world of diversity and inclusion today, when I speak up and talk about that in my firm at PwC, it's very important and it resonates. You know, I'm an invisible minority. You know, I'm completely an invisible, as we all are. But I think it's important that we talk about our diversity. And so for me, balance is very personal. It's really an amalgamation of many things. And I just want to say that being Armenian is so important. And Ani and I and Pamela are always saying to each other, we're sort of fist bumping each other on our visionary calls, because we don't have a lot of vocal Armenian people who are, you know, at the top of their heap in terms of business. And so I like to amplify that. I know Ani does, and we need more stories because I know that they exist out there and I know that we can get there.
Thanks, Diane. How about you, Ani?
Okay, I guess Diane and I share some commonalities, right, Diane? And we're both married to non-Armenians and we both have 2 kids. So I'll tell you I guess how I balance my life. As all working women know, we need to be sort of intentional about how we spend our time, right? I have always worked hard to make sure that I maintain a balanced life, but sometimes, a lot of times I'm not that successful. So what I know for sure is that the following 4 areas have always been important to me. So what I like to call them as my 4 C's. So those areas are my connections, my community, my culture, and my career. So I'll talk a little bit about those and share my thoughts about them. So when it comes to connections, we all know how important our relationships are with our friends and family. So, and we realized in 2020 that without keeping in touch with our family and friends, we would become anxious and isolated and depressed. So in my life, I have always made relationships a priority. But I have intentionally chosen to be around people who have positive energy and those who are working on making the world a better place. Since we are talking about connections, I want to say that since we spend most of our lives with our life partners, I think choosing the right partner, if you haven't chosen one yet, is one of the most important decisions you will make in your life. I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg gave the same advice in one of her earlier speeches. So one of the reasons that I am successful is because I have a very supportive husband who shares my values and goals. So when it comes to the community, in Toronto, we are very lucky to have a strong community, and we are blessed with our Armenian community center, our churches, and of course, the ARS Armenian private school. So for me, volunteering and having great friends is very important. I think as human beings, we all want to feel like we want to belong somewhere. And being part of this community provides me with this important sense of belonging. Our community is always helping others and being supportive to each other. Number three is, as Armenians, we have a huge responsibility to maintain our culture, our language, and our faith. I took this responsibility seriously, and given the opportunity and given the support I had, I enrolled my two sons in the ARS Armenia private school from kindergarten to grade 12. Raising kids is very hard, especially if you are a working mother, and especially if you are an Armenian working mother. And it is one of the most important things you will do in your life, right? So raise your hands if you agree. I'm sure I can't see you, but I'm sure I see a lot of raised hands are out there. So it really takes a village to raise our kids. What we can do it, but we need to support our families and our friends, as Diane said. That I was grateful and very lucky that my parents took care of my kids when my husband and I were at work. For close to 20 years, and many of you who know me know this, I would drop my kids off at my parents at 6 a.m. and go to work downtown Toronto, and then come back and pick them up at 6 or 7 p.m., go home, drive 30 minutes to get home with my dinner though. My parents took my kids to school, picked them up, fed them, and took care of them until I returned from work. They also took care of me, my husband, with my mom cooking my meals as well. Yes, I admit I was spoiled, and I know I owe my success to my parents and my brother, without whom I wouldn't be who I am today. And finally, when it comes to my career, I have only had 4 employers. Where I was given various responsibilities, and one opportunity led to the next, At work, I would recommend that you get involved in various committees, network, but I would like to call it more connecting with people instead of networking. Connect with people and develop good relationships. And yes, and say yes to promotions or lateral moves that would take you to your next challenge. So be strategic. I would say be strategic with your career, and don't be afraid to take calculated risks. I know, do pros and cons and then make the right decision. I know some of you believe that they suffer from imposter syndromes. Raise your hands if you do. Understand it and don't fear it. Trust in yourself and your ability to learn and get the job done. I would also recommend that you have a vision for your career and have a path, a life path. So have a vision for your career and then have a vision for your personal life. Have a 1-year, 3-year, 5-year, 10-year, and why not 20-year path? Write them down as I did, and I still do. When you write down your professional and personal goals, you can visualize them and then they become clearer. Be accountable for them, share them with your coach or mentor who can help you stay on your course. I'm not asking you too much, just a little bit, right, Hootie?
Yeah, that's great advice, Ani. Could you please tell us, so, okay, sorry, I should preface it by saying final question. Could you please tell us why you believe having mentors and sponsors are important to one's career? Do you mentor young women and men yourself? And did you have mentors and sponsors early on in your careers?
Do you want me to go first?
Yes, Diane.
Okay.
Go first.
Yes, the answer is yes, yes, yes. So I mentor a lot of people, both men and women. There's a big difference, we should just state, between being a business coach, a mentor, and a sponsor. So, you know, in our organizations, we usually have someone who's a coach or someone that we report to. It's someone that we discuss our business goals with and our professional goals with. And I know that in my firm, you know, a business coach who also might be a mentor, maybe, maybe not, is really focused on that person's goals, how they're doing, how it's adding value to the business of PwC, you know, what their roles and responsibilities are, and so on. And that's important, and all organizations will have that. A mentor is someone that, you know, you look up to. It's somebody who you can speak to about ideas and, you know, how did you do that? And can you give me some tips, role modeling, so on. And in our both personal lives and professional lives, we can have lots of mentors that can help us. I know that growing up, my godfather, who was a very, very successful Armenian, Crosby Kazarian, was a mentor of mine. I looked up to him since I was a child, as I did with my father, who was a very successful businessman. These were mentors of mine. But a sponsor is different. And a sponsor is someone who is very senior in your organization, who is in the background and who's saying good things about you. So when it's time for Ani to have a promotion and to have a raise or to be considered for a new role or something of this nature, the sponsor is in the background on the sidelines in meetings saying, you know what? She's awesome. We need to make sure that we give her this opportunity. I can vouch for her. That is a sponsor. It is different than a mentor, and it is different than a business coach. I talked about this when we were together in 2016. It is a fatal mistake that women in particular make when they think that the person who is maybe their mentor is their sponsor. Some people don't even know the difference between these. I know me growing up through my career, I really didn't know what a sponsor was, frankly. I did have them. I had a couple of very senior people in my firm who were always giving me opportunities and saying good things about me, but I didn't really realize it until I consciously understood what this thing was called sponsorship or allyship. I talked about allyship in I'm involved with MS for Women. And it was something that I talked about in a podcast. So I want to really make sure that everyone understands the distinction of those things. And in your organizations, you should be asking for sponsorship. You should be thinking about who it is that's quite senior that you might be working with a little bit, but not maybe total direct reporting. And they can help be a sponsor for you. I think for men, sponsorship sometimes comes easier than for women. It often comes a little bit more naturally. I talk about, you know, the golf course and in professional services in particular, when the guys are golfing. I hate golfing. I don't golf. Like, I like to go shopping. I like to go to lunch. I build relationships with my clients, you know, on patios or over dinner or at cocktail parties when we're allowed to, that is. In a hopefully post-COVID world. But for men, and I know it's a general statement, the sponsorship comes much easier. I think for women, it comes a little bit harder. So I would like to make sure that ask yourself this question, but it is also important for men as well. And yes, I did have them along the way. I still have them today, and I will continue to use them as I kind of look to the next stages of my career. So I hope that explains a bit about mentorship, sponsorship, coaching.
Ani, what's your view?
I'll just pick up from what Diane was saying, is that I also believe very strongly about mentorship, sponsorship, and allyship. I do mentor many young people, and I have mentored and I continue mentoring young people. I hold regular check-ins with these individuals and provide them with guidance to help them achieve their goals. And every individual has different need. So as mentors, we need to be very flexible in understanding their needs and meeting them where they need to be. It's very important to me to share my knowledge and experience, and in order to help others achieve what they want to achieve in their journeys. It's also important to help open the doors for others as much as possible and then let them walk in. We are all mentors, actually, one way or another. Sometimes it could be informal mentorship. Sometimes it's formal mentorship. Sometimes you don't realize that you have made an impact on someone until years later. And when that person comes to you and you say, oh, remember when you told me to do this? And remember when that happened? And I want to also say that when you are a mentor, you are also learning from your mentee. So it's not just a one way, it's a two way. So be open to these opportunities when they come, you have a chance to be a mentor or to be a mentee. I have also benefited from being mentored and sponsored by women and men who have helped me throughout my career. Sometimes I didn't realize I was being sponsored, but now that I understand the difference, I said, oh, they were being my sponsors. All of my bosses at Zurich, Canada were instrumental in my success. And my bosses at Coventry Inc. were also extremely very supportive. They provided me with opportunities to learn and grow, and by being successful, I made them proud. So they knew that they didn't make a mistake with me. I also want to say that mentorship or sponsorship is not just relevant in your careers. It is also relevant and exists in our volunteer circles. Armenian Relief Society is like a school where we learn from each other. If you are not a member, I encourage you to become a member and get involved in a committee that you might be interested in. I know the committee members who organized today's event are all young members of the Toronto chapter. So, and we have members who've been members for decades, and they say that they still learn from each other and value their ARS membership. I also want to mention that the Armenian Prelacy of Canada is launching its inaugural Young Professional Mentorship Program, which will be a formal 12-month long formal program for professionals who are between 19 and 35 years of age. And if you are interested, check their website or their Facebook pages. You can, if you're interested in being a mentee or a mentor, you can go to the website armenianprelacy.ca and fill in application, and the deadline is March 25th. So there are opportunities everywhere for being a mentor or being a mentee. You just have to look for them.
Great, thanks so much, Diane and Ani. So we're now going to take a few questions from our participants. As a reminder, if you have not done so already, please click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to type in your question. We're going to try to get through as many as we can. All right, first question. Have you found that women have to do more in order to be given equal credit in the workforce? Or is it our own modesty that disallows our recognition? Diane, do you want to go first?
Sure. I think women tend to believe that, let my work speak for itself. And, we've come across this a number of times in the firm. And so there's this balance of being boastful with ensuring that people understand what you do, what value you've brought, and, being able to talk about yourself. And so I wouldn't say that in my firm or my experience has been that, we need to do more. But I think that we need to make more of a conscious effort to be, and Ani used the word connecting with the right people, ensuring that people understand, what we're working on, what we've done. If we really want to put our hand up for a role, don't just think that you're going to be considered because you've done good work. Because I can tell you the men are putting their hand up for roles more than women are. So, that would be my answer to that.
Yeah, just to follow through what you're saying, Diane, is that I think women think that they have to have all the, you've heard all this before, that they have to have all the boxes checked to put their hand up and say, yes, I can do that job. And that's not reality, though. I don't think we need to have all the job requirements, you know, done before we say, yes, I would like to have an opportunity to take that role. So I would say you have to work hard. You have to connect with the right people who can be your mentors, or more importantly, your sponsors. And don't be afraid to take a chance for yourself. You know, we are sometimes our own worst enemy, but try to get out of your comfort zone, like Diane said earlier, and always invest in yourself. Continue learning. For me, that is one of the reasons I am successful, because I continue learning. At my age now, I still take courses, and I still, you know, invest in myself with my own money to go and take courses so I can become more valuable to the organizations that I'm serving.
Great. Okay, next question. Do you feel Armenian women have been further burdened by the obligations to transfer the torch, which further increases the responsibilities, burdens, and guilt? Ani, do you want to take that one first?
Interesting question. As an Armenian, as I said earlier, as an Armenian woman and as Armenian mother, and Diane would concur, is that I feel a different responsibility. I wouldn't say more. I think the responsibility that I felt on my shoulders was to make sure that my kids went to Armenian school. They understood the culture and they speak Armenian, you know, and that has created more pressure on myself and more guilt. If I couldn't do it, I would feel guilty. So I remember when my kids were in the school, and I would make sure, because my husband is not Armenian, all the responsibility of homework was on my shoulders. But of course, he helped with science projects and this and that. But Armenian homework, can you imagine? One kid would be on one side and one the other side. Do your homework, do your Armenian history, Armenian lesson. It was just, I'm so glad they graduated from high school. So yes, I think we are more burdened because of the responsibility of passing the torch.
Diane?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think that as Armenian women, you know, we have certain expectations of ourselves that are sort of ingrained in us because of our culture, because of our upbringing. You know I said this, and it might sound like a small thing, but, you know, when I had my help at home, which I had to have, you know, working in the career, two-career marriage, kids, and so on, I insisted that we do the cooking, or I do the cooking. I insisted that my help never stayed overnight, ever. I insisted that always that we were helping the children with the homework. So, you know, when you have these like values ingrained in you, I think it puts a lot of pressure on yourself. And I could tell you that I know a lot of professional women who are not Armenian who would just have their meals done, like they'd make it easier on themselves. You know what I mean? And so, yes, I think that there is more, but I think it's gratifying, and I think it ends up, you know, paying off and passing those values onto your children.
All right, next question. So somebody would like to know, what is the major goal of the Prosperity Project, and is there a way that we can implement the outcomes of this project in our own Armenian community? That's
well, the goal is to make sure that women go back to work if they're not at work now because they're staying home to take care of their kids, and there are lots of women who are doing that. What we want to do is we want to raise awareness of what's happening to women, and make sure that the government is listening and they're doing something about it. Like, we are campaigning to have childcare be number one priority for the federal government, and the budget is coming up soon, and we hope that our voices, which is one of the voices that is talking to the federal government, is being heard. I think we want to help women with these webinars, with these mentorships, with the matching project. So we want to do our part, which is a small part of what's happening around Canada and not around the world, to make sure that women's voices are being heard, that we are given the promotions, that, you know, with the Zero Report, you know, this is the first time that this happened. And look what's happening to the Black North Initiative. Look what's happening with the diversity and inclusion initiatives around the world. If we don't speak up, we will be left behind.
Yeah, agreed. It's a lot about awareness. It's about taking all these pieces that Ani talked about and kind of bringing it together to help benefit the prosperity of women. And the fact that, you know, we have gone backwards, and we need to move forward, and we need government, political voices to be able to, you know, listen to this and to be able to act. There was a meeting with Minister Peter Bethenflavi. He's now the new finance minister. I know him because he used to be in financial services, so I've had him out at many events prior to this, and I sent him a thank you for meeting with us. It's all those things, it's all those points, bringing them together. In terms of how this can impact Armenian women, I think if you go onto the website, you listen to some of our webinars, you read about some of the research, and you kind of think about yourself and personalize it to yourself and your own situation, hopefully you can help yourself move the needle. There's a mentoring program involved too. You know, if some of our women want to get mentored, if you're a part of organizations that might be part of the matching initiative, like there's various ways that you yourself can get involved, and you can volunteer. So that's another thing too. We have a lot of volunteers, a lot of bright young women who are volunteering, working with us. And if you do something like that, it actually gets you connected with these like 60 visionaries. So it's like really good for your career as well. So those are just some ideas.
Okay, so one question that we're seeing quite a few times is how would you go about getting a sponsor? What would you recommend?
Yeah, so in your work organization, I assuming wherever you know you're working. So I would, you know, this question comes up quite a bit. So, and in fact, tomorrow I'm doing a global panel with financial services women, and we're going to talk about sponsorship and allyship internally as it relates to PwC. So wherever you're working and whatever your role might be and whatever level you're at, I would sit back and think about, in your kind of group, your department, whatever it is that you're doing, who's the couple of influencers in that group who are more senior than you? First of all, understand who they are. Find out who they are. And if you're working in a job and you're kind of oblivious to kind of these kind of things going on around you, that's not a good thing. So you need to learn, but that's okay, because I think a lot of people are in that situation. Understand, you know, who are you reporting to? Who are you? That person is reporting to who in that group and in that department. Then one of the things I say, and I give advice to people, is I say that ask for some feedback or have a coffee, book a little meeting with that person. Maybe it's not could be your ultimate, your boss, your most superior person, or could be that person's boss. And, you know, you could say, and I give this advice to my daughter. She has a new job now. She's working at a really interesting place. And she's working with some, you know, people, and then there are senior people around that person, is to jump in and say, hey, would you mind spending 15 minutes with me? I'd love to get some feedback in terms of what you've heard about me. Here's some of the things I'm doing and I love about this organization. I love the product that we're building, or I like the, you know, whatever it is. Talk a little bit about what you're doing and ask for, if you were me, what kind of advice would you give me to go ahead? And sometimes those discussions end up sparking a relationship that could be a sponsorship relationship. It's very hard to go to somebody and say, hey, would you be my sponsor? You can't just go and ask someone to be your sponsor. You need to do a little bit of homework. You need to do a little bit of research. You need to understand, as I say, who's who in the zoo. Be very smart, be strategic about this, and go and then have some conversations. And that's one way to be able to determine who might be willing to be a sponsor. And when you meet with that person a couple of times, then you can say, sorry, this is a long answer, but this is important. Then you could say, I know that sponsorship in both men and women's careers are very important. And by the way, it may not be a woman, it might be a man. All my sponsors, 100% men, never a woman in my firm, never a woman. It was always a man. Now I'm a sponsor to many people. So then you could say, once you get to know them, as I know sponsorship is really important, you know, I have some career aspirations in this place. Would you give me some advice? Would you take on that role, and maybe every 3 months we talk and we meet? I had a guy call me the other day who's very successful, who works at Microsoft. I was his mentor at PwC, and he left. He called me and he said, would you continue to be my mentor? Maybe not a sponsor, but a mentor. This is someone outside of PwC. So there are different ways to do it, and you need to explore that within the realm of where you're working in your organization.
Great advice, Diane. What I would also say is that outside of your workplace, you can also find sponsors. So a sponsor is somebody who believes in you, knows you, and is willing to put their neck out for you, right? Because if they recommend you to a position and then you fail because of your own doing, then that sponsor is going to say, oh my God, I made a mistake and my reputation is at stake now because you failed. So I would say, like, get to know people who are more senior than you. Like Diane said, have coffee, virtual coffee, or 15-minute conversation. It's all about relationships. Every single mentee that I talk to, it's all about who you know and how that relationship is structured. Because when something, if I believe that you are somebody that I can take a chance on, like I know I can take a chance on Huri. If somebody says, you know, is Huri good for this job? I'd say, yeah, definitely. You need to promote Huri. So it's this goodwill that you want to develop with people that know you and are willing to help you in your career or in your personal life.
Well, I think we're out of time. Diane, Ani, I would like to thank you for being here with us today, for telling us about the Prosperity Project and sharing your experiences and wisdom as successful Armenian women in the business world. I know I speak for everyone watching when I say thank you for inspiring us not only with your words, but with the amazing example you've set for all of us. Շատ շնորհակալ ենք Դայան եւ Անի, որ ընդառաջեցիք մեր առաջարկը եւ ձեր փորձառությունը բաժնեկցեցաք մեր հետ այսօր.
You're very welcome, and շնորհակալություն ձեր բոլորին.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Wonderful to be here.
Okay. Այժմ պիտի սկսենք մեր հայդակրի երկրորդ բաժնին, գետրոնանալով առողջապահական ապրելակերպի մասին։ Հավանաբար ցեզ մեջ շատերը ներկայի այս պայմաններում ստիպված են աշխատել իրենց տուներեն եւ նստագյաց երկար ժամեր կանցնեն։ Ինչպես կրնանք մնալ առողջ եւ աշխույժ այս պայմաններում մեջ։ Եկեք թիմենք Ալիս Իստանբուլին, որ մեզի պիտի սորվեցնե մարզանքի եւ շնչառության քաղաքներ, որոնք հույսով ենք պիտի գարենան բարելավել ձեր ֆիզիկական եւ մտային առողջությունը։ We will now be moving on to the second part of our program, focusing on health and wellness. First up is Alice Istanbul, who will be sharing some yoga basics and breath work with us to help combat the toll that stress is taking on our bodies. Alice was born and raised in Toronto and has been living in Atlanta, Georgia since 2005. She comes from a diverse cultural background with an Armenian father and Italian mother. Alice grew up attending Armenian day school until grade 6. She earned her Bachelor of Education from the University of Toronto and her master's degree in French from Middlebury College in Vermont. While she's a French teacher by profession, Alice has spent the last 10 years pursuing her passion of yoga and is a prominent and well-respected yoga teacher, teaching in studios across the greater Atlanta area. The floor is yours, Alice.
Pare, anumız Alice, yes, Shadurachem, Hostelal Sezi Hedaisor. I'm Hayres Kishma Barze, Anohamar Ankaren Gdichosim Sezi Het. I hope you don't mind. So thank you everyone for joining me today. My name is Alice. I'm originally from Toronto and I now live in Atlanta where I'm a yoga teacher. And I'm so happy to be here with you today where I'm going to take you through some gentle spine twists, some spine stretches, some breathing, and just a little bit of gentle yoga experience for you, mindfulness and breath work and all of that good stuff. So let's begin by just tuning into the breath. So I invite you to find a comfortable seat. If you have a yoga mat, sit on your mat. You can sit on the floor, maybe on a carpet, and just make sure you have a little bit of space around you, eliminating any distractions around you. And we'll begin by tuning into the breath. So if you can, go ahead and close your eyes as you sit up nice and straight. And just notice your breath, notice the breathing. Notice the natural rhythm and the pace and the depth of your breath before we do anything to change it. Just notice your starting point. And on your next breath in, take a deeper breath in. See if you can fill your lungs even more. And then exhale and release, maybe your mouth open, sigh out. Breathe in, a full breath in, filling your lungs all the way up, big breath. Open your mouth, gently let it go. One more time, a big breath in. Feel your ribcage expanding, feel the rising in your chest as you fill all the way up to the crown of your head. Open your mouth and let it go. Empty all the way out. Good. Inhale your arms up and overhead. Reach your arms up toward the sky. Stretch and see if you can gaze upward past your fingertips toward the ceiling. And then exhale, plant your hands on the floor in front of you. Walk your hands forward and come into a forward fold as you bow your head down. Take a big breath in and exhale it out. Inhale, walk your hands back towards you. Now we're going to come into a spinal twist. Reach your arms up and overhead again. Bring your right hand by your side. Take your left hand to your right knee. Look over your right shoulder and come into a twist. So your right hand is slightly behind you on your fingertips. Use the strength of your left hand against your right knee to deepen your twist, very gently looking over your right shoulder. Come back through the middle, arms up to the sky. And then we'll take this twist to the other side. So your left hand beside you, slightly behind you, right hand to your left knee. Look over your shoulder and twist very gently, looking over your left shoulder, your eyes leading the way. Come back through the center, arms reach up, and then bring your hands down by your sides. Come onto your hands and knees into this tabletop position, and we'll move the spine into back bends and rounding and arching the spine. So we call this tabletop position, align your hands underneath your shoulders, fingers wide like stars. Look back at your knees, make sure your knees are about the distance of your hips. So for cow pose, tuck your toes under. Inhale, look up to the sky. Tilt your tailbone upward. Press your heart forward. And then exhale, round and tuck. Gently push the floor away. Dome your back. Squeeze your belly in. Look to your belly button. Inhale to gaze forward. Sink your belly down. Look up. Tailbone up. Exhale, round and tuck, squeeze your belly in. One more time, inhale to look up. Exhale to round and tuck your chin, tuck your tailbone, and then come to a neutral position, neutral tabletop position. Go ahead and come onto your seat now, and we'll do some forward folds. Bring your legs straight ahead in front of you. Walk your hips back a couple of times. Try to get your legs as straight as possible. For some people, your knees will be bent, and that's perfectly fine. It's no problem at all. But straighten your legs as much as you're able to. Arms reach up overhead. Inhale. And then exhale. Come into a forward fold over your legs to your own depth and your own degree. So if you're flexible, you'll be able to fold all the way. If you're not flexible, you'll just come to as far as you're able to come. So find your own degree, your own depth in your forward fold. We never force any of the postures. Just feel the stretch and breathe into the spaces in your body that feel tight. Keeping a slight tuck in your belly. Keep the breath flowing steadily. Good. Inhale, walk your hands back toward you. This next pose might not be possible for everyone, but if you're able to do it, do it. Bring your hands behind you about 6 to 8 inches. Place the soles of your feet on the floor. This is called reverse tabletop. Push into your hands and your feet, and if you're able to, lift your hips up, lift your chest up, open your throat, look up to the ceiling, and then lower your seat back down. Straighten your legs straight ahead in front of you again. Coming into some spinal twists. Take your right knee, bend your right knee so that the sole of your foot is on the floor. Bring your left arm to hug your knee into your chest. Take your right hand fingertips behind your back. Push into the floor with your fingertips. Lift your chest and look over your right shoulder. So I'm going to turn back in the original direction that I was facing. I just moved around so that you could see me better. Stay in your shape. Squeeze your belly in and look over your shoulder. Keep your straight leg, keep that foot flexed so that your foot is active. One more breath. And then exhale, come back through center. So we always move with the breath in yoga. Right leg now, straighten it, bend your left knee. We'll do the same shape on the other side. Sole of your left foot on the floor. Take your right arm, hug your knee into your chest. Take your left fingertips like a spider, tent them behind your back. Lift your chest, straighten your spine, and then look over your left shoulder. Feel the twist in your spine from your tailbone all the way up to the back of your neck. Keep your straight leg, that foot is active. Flex the right toes toward your face. Good, and then come back through center. Both of your legs straight ahead in front of you. Now bring the soles of your feet together. Soles of your feet together for butterfly pose. Allow the knees to just open out. We'll take one more forward fold. Arms reach up to the sky. Inhale. Exhale. Walk your hands toward you. And bring your forehead toward the floor as much as you're able to. And breathe. Notice where you're feeling the stretch. And then walk your hands back toward you. Cross your legs, come into a cross-legged position. So we moved our spine through back bends, through forward bends, through spine twists. We got 2 more directions that the spine is meant to move in. So we're going to do some gentle side stretches, some lateral stretches. Take your right hand, reach it away from you like you're walking your fingertips away from you. Take your left arm, inhale it up toward the sky, and bring your bicep toward your ear as you lean your body over to the right side. Feel the stretch on the left side of your body. Feel the opening through your rib cage. The more you can walk your right hand away from you, the deeper you're going to stretch, but don't force it. And then come back up through center, and we'll do the other side. Left hand fingertips walk away from you. Inhale your right arm up and overhead. Reach your fingertips. Stretch the whole right side open. The more your left hand walks away from you, the deeper you're going to feel the stretch on the right side. And then come back through center. Good. Let's do some breathing, some mindful breathing, and then we'll close it out. So go ahead and reach your arms out and overhead. Join your hands together above your crown, and then bring this prayer down to your heart. Close your eyes here. Take a deep breath in. And a full breath out. Inhale. Exhale. On the next one, I'm going to count you through an inhale that's going to last 4 counts, and I'll count in Armenian. So inhale for meg, yergu, yerek, chors. Exhale, chors, yerek, yergu, meg. Inhale, meg. Yergu, yerek, chors. Exhale, chors, yerek, yergu, meg. One more time on your own, counting, breathe in. Breathe out. Go ahead and open your eyes. Bring your hands to your knees. So yoga is a practice that you can do anytime. A lot of people are intimidated. They think that they need to be really flexible. Really, yoga is all about connecting your mind to your body through your breath. So anytime you're breathing mindfully, deliberately, intentionally, you're already on your way to doing yoga. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed it. Thank you again. Have an amazing rest of your day. Shat Shinoda.
Well, I don't know about you, but I definitely learned some helpful tips about breathing that I'll be using from now on, especially on those stressful days. Alice, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. We appreciate it. Շնորհակալություն Alice, հույսով եմ, որ բոլորս քուդված մարզացևերը առօրյա ցևով կօգտագործենք։ Ուրեմն, մեր այսօրվա վերջին հյուրն է սննդակեց Թամարա Սարգսյանը, որ պիտի լուսաբանե մեզի առողջապահական ճաշատեսակներու մասին։ Now, for our final segment featuring Tamara Sarkisyan of Fruitful Kitchen. Tamara is going to provide some tips on eating healthier at home. Tamara is a registered dietitian, trilingual in Armenian, French, and English. She is passionate about all things food and believes that all foods can fit into a healthy lifestyle. Tamara enjoys getting creative in the kitchen with simple and wholesome ingredients to make easy, healthy, and tasty meals. Tamara's passion for food has led her to help her clients simplify cooking and feel their best on their health journey. Welcome, Tamara.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm just going to share my screen. Perfect. Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Tamara. I'm a registered dietitian, and I wanted to say happy International Women's Day to everyone. I felt like all these presentations so far have been super inspiring. So yeah, I hope you enjoy my presentation on women's health and nutrition. So just a little bit about me. So as I said, I'm a registered dietitian. I grew up in a household, my dad was Armenian. My mom was actually French Canadian. She speaks fluent Armenian, which is pretty amazing. My grandmother from Armenia, she came to live with us when I was about 5 years old. So my mom had to learn Armenian to communicate with my grandma. So it was amazing to see, how she could actually pick up the language. So yes, I grew up with an Armenian grandmother. We cooked a lot of Armenian food. So I learned how to make like dolma at 5 years old. We made a lot of gata and a lot of Armenian dishes. So this is where my passion for food and nutrition really came in, as I grew older. And I actually completed 2 degrees at the University of Ottawa. So the first one was like health sciences and general social sciences. And then I moved on to pursuing my nutrition degree at the University of Ottawa in French. So I do speak Armenian as well, but I am starting to forget it. Unfortunately, I don't speak a lot of Armenian, but I'm trying to get back into it. So with my career, I've worked with Loblaws as a registered dietitian for a few years. And recently we moved to Winnipeg. So I'm originally from Toronto and we moved to Winnipeg. So I started my own private practice called Fruitful Kitchen. So I do a lot of recipe developing. I see clients one-on-one. I do like food photography. And recently I've been on media doing segments on CTV, and I'll be on Global on Tuesday. So a lot of fun and exciting things going on in my career at the moment. Oh, and I actually took on a new contract with Manitoba Beef Producers. So I'm going to be on a cooking show in July, which is really exciting too. Okay, so I wanted to just put this quick slide here just to give you an idea of what does health really mean to you. Actually March is Nutrition Month, and the theme this year is really talking about what's good for you and how dietitians can actually help you find your healthy, because healthy looks really different for everyone. So I just wanted to put a quick little description of what health really can be. And as Health Canada says, so it's a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. Women's health involves their emotional, social, and physical well-being and is determined by the social, political, and economic context of their lives, as well as by biology. So this is Health Canada's description of health, but really I want to let people know that health, it's affected by so many different factors. So really we look at sleep, we look at stress, nutrition, physical activity. So there's so much that can affect your health. But I'm here to talk to you a little bit more about nutrition and how that can help you improve your health. So, dietitians, we like to talk a little bit about the food guide, but that's not all we do. But I do find it's a nice visual. This is actually a new Canada's food guide that was developed a couple years ago. So it's a really nice visual in the sense where we really want to encourage people to eat more fruits and vegetables. So as you can see, half the plate's fruits and vegetables, a quarter of the plate is protein. There's a lot of different sources of protein. So we don't necessarily pick and choose, you don't need to eat meat, but if you like meat, you can definitely include it in your diet. And then a quarter of the plate would be your whole grains and your starchy vegetables. So things like potatoes, whole grain rice, whole grain pastas. So these are really rich in fiber as well, which is super beneficial. So I'm just going to move on here to our breakfast. So I'm just going to help to provide you some inspiration on how you can have balanced meals throughout the day. But I do like to encourage people to not eliminate anything from their diet as well. So, if you love chocolate, if you love ice cream, and you can definitely still include these foods in your diet. But this is kind of a nice general idea of how to keep a balanced diet throughout regularly. So for breakfast, we like to, incorporate a third of each category. So it looks a little bit different from the plate I showed you earlier. So here you kind of have a balance of the protein, the starch, and your fruits and vegetables. So it's a really great way to include all those nutrients, vitamins and minerals. So for example, if you're looking for a great protein source in the morning, for example, eggs is a great one, but you can also choose things like nuts and seeds. These are things that are really nutritious. They're going to help to keep you full. So you'll be actually satisfied for a couple hours, and it'll give you energy for the morning. And I wanted to mention, some people don't like having breakfast, so don't feel pressured to, include breakfast. I always like to make sure that I'm working with the client and making sure that I'm not changing their lifestyle, but if you really enjoy breakfast, I always encourage people to, try different fruits and vegetables in the morning and including different types of sources of protein, because it's great to get some variety. And then a third of your plate would be some starch. So in the morning, you can do either like oats, you can do some whole grain bread. These are things that are high in fiber, and high fiber foods are excellent, to prevent a lot of diseases, but also to keep you regular, which is super important. So lunch and dinner, I incorporated some fun Armenian meals here. I love cooking Armenian food, but it does take a lot of time. So I like to kind of modify Armenian dishes and make them a little bit more easier for me. So for example, you can have a lunch for salad, you can have a salad for lunch or dinner. You can also make more like these salad bowls that are kind of trendy these days. We're looking at lunch and dinner here at half of your plate vegetables, quarter protein and a quarter starch. This is kind of like a general rule, but I usually like to work with the client individually and make sure that I'm tailoring nutrition to their needs. So this is kind of like a general thing that I'm presenting to you, but if you came to see me one-on-one, this could possibly be modified as well. So again, I'm trying to focus on lots of fruits and vegetables. A great variety will allow you to have different nutrients like different vitamins and minerals. And then, a quarter of your plate of starch can include either, like things like rice, pasta, quinoa is a great grain. I know Armenian people love bulgur, and I love bulgur as well. So that could be a really excellent source of fiber. And you can even choose things like starchy vegetables, which would include things like potatoes or sweet potatoes. So all of these foods can provide such a great variety, and variety is key for us to have, to attain all those nutrients that we're looking for. And the other option for proteins, a lot of my clients have noticed these days with the pandemic that they're not really sure, what to make for lunch anymore. They're kind of getting bored at home. So I always tell them like to switch up the protein, which can add a lot of variety. So maybe one day you're using chickpeas for protein. Maybe the next day you're using salmon. Like you can even use canned salmon, canned tuna, and this allows for you to make easier lunches that are not stressful and can be a nice variety for you at home. And you don't have to make a salad to make things healthy. So as long as you're including some sort of veggie in there, even if it's like in a form of a wrap, or if you like something that's sort of like mixed and integrated, that works well too. So don't feel like you need to have a salad to be healthy, because there's lots of other ways to enjoy your fruits and vegetables. And lastly, for snacks, I want to show you how you can include healthy snacks throughout the day. So of course, with the pandemic, a lot of my clients are noticing that they're snacking a lot more than usually. And snacking is totally healthy. So don't feel bad if you feel like you're snacking a lot. But I think it's important to choose, more nutritious foods more often. So it's okay if you like to have your chocolate or chips or ice cream, but I like to get people to just include a little bit more nutritious foods most of the time, because this is going to allow you to feel good, and it's going to give you a great, your bowel movements will be regular. So you're just going to feel good overall. You'll have better energy if you include, more fruits and vegetables, more high fiber foods. So a great snack usually incorporates half of your snack to be protein rich, and then the other half would be fiber. So it's not necessarily in the form of a plate, but basically, if you're having, for example, like an egg muffin that I posted here, and by the way, all these recipes are on my website, so you can find these at fruitfulkitchen.ca. So for example, if you make little egg muffins, they're high in protein, you can include your vegetables in that egg muffin. So then you're having protein and fiber. So together, this is a great snack that's going to keep you satisfied for probably a couple hours until, your next meal. So a snack is really nutritious if you're, choosing nutritious foods. Even something like yogurt and fruit could be a great snack throughout the day. And I put a couple examples here for you. So, eggs, yogurt, cheese, nuts and seeds, tuna, salmon, hummus. These are excellent sources of of protein. And then your fiber sources could be fruits or vegetables, whole grain crackers, pita, and actually even nuts and seeds and legumes have fiber too. So sometimes some foods contain fiber and protein, which is nice. So we have a fun video to show you here. So I'm very active on social media. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is Fruitful Kitchen. If you're on Facebook, the handle is fruitfulkitchen.ca. So I'm going to show you one of the recipes that I created here. So we're just going to watch a little video. That's just a short little video that I posted on my Instagram, so it's a reel. But if you wanted to get the full recipe, I posted it right here. It's just the banana cookies that I like to make. They're very nutritious, high in fiber. There's some protein in there because I added, some peanut butter and some nuts and seeds. And you can modify it the way you like. So don't feel pressured to follow a recipe like the way it is. You can always modify it. So again, if you wanted to find the full recipes, you can go on my website at fruitfulkitchen.ca. Oh, sorry. Okay. And lastly, I wanted to let you know, if you're looking for more personalized nutrition advice, you can actually meet with a dietitian. And this is where we really work closely with the clients to actually personalize nutrition and just giving you more feedback in terms of, how much protein you might need, how much fiber you're getting in a day, and if you're getting enough nutrients. So for example, with women's health, I actually work a lot with women. I do postnatal, prenatal nutrition, people with endometriosis and polycystic ovarian syndrome, also nutrition during menopause. So this is something that women experience later down the road. And obviously a lot of clients come to me with wanting to lose weight, but that's not necessarily my huge focus in terms of helping people lose weight. I like to focus more on including healthier behavior change, which helps to maybe eventually, come with weight loss. But my point with nutrition is just trying to keep a healthy lifestyle that's not really making you restrict any foods and going on a crazy diet. So I want to make sure my clients are enjoying their food and where they can still, make sure that they're getting the health benefits from eating a healthy diet. And if you are interested, you can always contact me at fruitfulkitchen.ca. I'm actually doing free 15-minute discovery calls, so feel free to connect with me and we can definitely see how I can help you. So that's everything for today. And I really wanted to thank you guys for inviting me today. It was such a great event. And again, if you want to connect with me, there's my Instagram handle, Fruitful Kitchen, and my Facebook and website information.
Great. Thanks so much, Tamara. Իրապես ախորժափեր գերևին այս ճաշատեսակները, որ մեզի ցույց տվիր այսօր, Tamara. Շնորհակալ ենք, որ միացար մեզի այսօր. Thanks for taking the time to be with us today, Tamara. I'm definitely going to have to use some of your tricks in the kitchen. Those banana cookies look pretty delicious.
Thank you.
Կուզենք խորին շնորհակալություն հայտնել մեր բոլոր կամավորներուն եւ բոլոր նվիրատուներուն, որոնք ջիք չի խնայեցին օժանդակելու մեզի հանուն այս ցերնարգի հաջողության։ Chris Tarapyan, Ուրիկ Եղիազարյան, Մարալ Բեկարյան, Համով Հայ Քեյք եւ Լավաշ Շաշարան։ Ինչպես նաեւ շնորհակալություն ցեզի մեր սիրելի ներկաներ, որ ամեն տարի կքաչալերեք մեզի ցեր մասնակցությամբ։ Սիրելիներ, Ձեր փարոյական եւ նյութական ներդրումով է, որ մենք կշարունակենք մեր առաքելությունը։ Բոլոր անոնք, որոնք կփափակին նվիրատություն ունեն մեզ քաչալերելու, կրնան e-transfer անել հետեւյալ եջնամագին arstoronto@gmail.com։ Շուտով հավելյալ մանրամասնություններ կստանաք եջնամագով։ Before we get to the lottery draw, we would like to take a moment to thank our generous donors and volunteers who helped make this event a success. Chris Tarapyan, our technical advisor, Uri Kiriazarian, our social media and digital content advisor of DG Nostos, Maral Bekarian, who donated 3 jewelry items for our lottery, Hamov High Cake, and Lavash Restaurant. If you enjoyed today's event and would like to continue to support the work of ARS Roubina chapter, please consider making a donation today. You can make a donation by sending an e-transfer to arstoronto@gmail.com. Detailed instructions will be emailed to attendees and can also be found in the booklet that was emailed in the sent in the email reminder that you would have received for the event today. Now, for the eagerly anticipated results of our lottery draw. Winners were selected through the use of a random generator from the list of all those who registered for and are in attendance at our Zoom event today. For the list of our prizes and donors, please refer to page 10 of the booklet that was sent to all registrants in yesterday's event reminder email. The winner of the first prize, a silver rhodium plated bracelet, is Sevan Manukyan. Second prize, a silver ring, goes to Alina Avadisyan. The lucky winner of the third prize, a pair of silver and zirconia earrings, is Natasha Arzumian. And Eden Telemi, you are the winner of a delicious basket of homemade treats from Humble Pie Cake. Now for the final prize, a gift certificate to Lavash Restaurant. Zepur Dorna, you are the winner. We will contact all winners at the email provided through Zoom to make arrangements to claim prizes. Finally, we would love it if you could please recognize the tireless effort and dedication of our committee members who put together today's event in a very short time frame. Our ARS Roubina Chapter Executive Liaison, Hera Ohannesyan Lurch, committee members Araksi Bilawedjian, Roubina Keshkerian Keshishian, Lucy Minasyan, Sarin Poladian Apikyan, and myself, Puri Shitirian. Thank you all for attending. Sorry, I think we're going to take a quick photo.
Take my photo.
All right. Thank you all for attending. We hope that you enjoyed the event and that we will see you all in person for next year's International Women's Day event, which will be held on Sunday, March 6, 2022. Եզրափակելով կուզեմ անդրադառնալ այսօրվա ցերնարգը գազմագերբող ժրաչան հանձնախումբին, որոնք կարճ ժամանակամիջոցի մեջ հաջողեցան գազմագերբել այս հայդակիրը։ Հոմի Ռուբինա մասնաճյուղի վարչական գաբ Հերա Օհաննեսյան Լրճ, հանձնախումբի անդամներ Արաքսի Պիլապեջյան, Ռուբինա Քեշկերյան Քեշիշյան, Լուսի Մինասյան, Սարին Պոլադյան Ապիկյան եւ ուրիշի Տիլյան։ Հույսով ենք, որ մեր հայդակիրը հաջելի եւ օգտաշատ էր ցեզի համար եւ լիահույս ենք, որ թարսյալ ցեզի պիտի տեսնենք հարաճիգա դարվա կանանց միջազգային դոնագադարության, որ դեղի պիտի ունենա գիրագի մարտ 6 2022-ին։ Այսպես արդեն մեր այսօրվա ծրագիրը գավառվի։ Հոմի ընտանիքի կողմից ցեր գենացը, բարի կանանց միջազգային օր ցեր բոլորին եւ բարի երթ։